Every morning, before the world floods your mind with noise, you are given a rare gift, a moment of silence. In that silence lives your power to reset, to release, to cleanse what no longer belongs to you. Many people speak about curses as if they are strange forces from outside. But the most powerful curses are the habits, thoughts, and emotions we allow to live within us. So for the next 3 mornings, I want you to drink something very simple, not with your mouth, but with your awareness. Drink presence, drink gratitude, drink discipline, and you will notice the heaviness you carried didn't belong to you in the first place. When I speak about drinking something for 3 mornings, I am not referring to a magic potion or secret recipe. I am speaking about awareness. Because before you change your life, you must first learn to see it clearly. Most people wake up and immediately hand their mind over to the world. The phone, the worries, the noise, the expectations, all of it rushes in before they have even taken one conscious breath. And when the mind is constantly reacting, constantly running, it becomes cloudy. In that cloudiness, confusion grows, stress grows, negativity grows. Then it becomes easy to believe that life is against you, that heaviness is following you, that something external is harming you. But often, it is simply that we have forgotten to be present. So for the first morning, I want you to practice the simplest and yet most powerful act. Sit quietly and breathe with full awareness, not trying to change anything, not forcing. Enjoy the breath, just observing. You may notice restlessness or irritation or thoughts rushing in. That is not failure. That is the beginning of awareness. You are finally seeing what has always been there. And once you see, you are no longer controlled by it in the same way. This is the first cleansing. You are no longer drowning in the unconscious stream. You are standing at the shore, watching the river flow. Awareness means you begin to notice the tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your chest, the way certain thoughts trigger emotions in your body. You start to see how much you absorb from your environment. A single message, a single word, a single memory, and your whole inner world shifts. When you remain unaware, this happens thousands of times a day, silently shaping your energy. But when you bring awareness, that chain reaction weakens. You become an observer rather than a prisoner. And from this observing state, something beautiful appears, choice. You begin to realize you do not have to hold every thought. You do not have to believe every emotion. You do not have to react to every impulse. This is freedom. This is the moment when the so-called curses begin to dissolve, because they cannot survive in the light of conscious presence. They rely on your automatic behavior, your blind repetition. Once you shine awareness upon them, they lose strength. So the first drink every morning is simply to pause, breathe, and look within with honesty and gentleness. No judgment, no pressure, just presence. It sounds small, it sounds too simple, but simplicity is, the highest form of wisdom. If you repeat this for 3 mornings, you will already sense a difference. The world will not have changed, but the way you meet it will. And that is where true transformation begins. When we speak about cleansing what feels heavy or dark in our lives, many people immediately look toward the invisible world. They think of energies, unseen forces, or spiritual influences. But very often, what feels like a spiritual burden is simply the body calling for care. The body is not separate from the mind or the spirit. It is the doorway through which you experience everything. And when the body is tense, neglected, exhausted, or overloaded, the mind will naturally become restless, and the heart will naturally feel unsettled. So the second drink is something very physical, yet deeply connected with the inner world. The decision to honor your body each morning as a sacred space. When you wake up, take a moment before rushing into activity. Feel your breath travel into the body. Feel the air expanding your lungs. Drink water slowly with awareness. Let it remind you that life is constantly flowing through you. This is not just hydration. This is communicate. Ion. You are telling your body, I am here with you. I am not ignoring you anymore. And the body responds. Muscles soften, The nervous system begins to calm. The heart rate slows. The inner storms become quieter. Many people mistake tension for identity. They live in a tight body for so long that they believe stress is normal. But stress is simply energy that never had the chance to leave. Every argument, every worry, every suppressed emotion leaves a trace. When it is never eased, it gathers. And gathered tension feels like a weight pressing from the inside. This is why it can be misunderstood as a curse. But it is not an external force. It is stored energy waiting for movement and breath. So each morning, allow your body to move gently, stretch, rotate your joints, stand tall, feel the ground supporting you. Let your breath be smooth, not forced. As you move, imagine. Nay, you are wringing out old tension like water from a cloth. There is no struggle in this, only patience, only care. The more you relax the body, the more space you create in the mind. You begin to realize that clarity is not achieved through effort. It appears naturally when tension dissolves. And with this physical care comes respect. You start to treat your body as an ally rather than a tool. You feed it better. You rest it properly. You stop pushing it beyond its limits. This quiet respect builds trust inside. And when the body trusts the mind, harmony grows. In harmony, negativity cannot root deeply. It may visit, but it cannot stay. This is why purifying the body is purifying the spirit. They are not two. They are one movement, expressing through different layers of your being. The second morning is your reminder of this unity. And once you remember, the heaviness you carried begins to loosen its grip. A calm body is the ground where true freedom begins. If you truly observe your life, you will notice that everything begins with a single thought. A thought becomes a mood becomes a behavior becomes a pattern, and after enough repetition, that pattern begins to feel like fate. This is why so many people believe they are cursed. They see the repeated results, but they do not see the repeated thoughts that constantly feed them. The mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant and water every day will eventually grow. If you water doubt, fear, comparison, self-judgment, then those seeds grow into trees that block out your inner sunlight. But if you learn to water clarity, gratitude, patience, and discipline, you grow a very different inner landscape. Every morning when you wake up, the mind is at its most impressionable. This is the moment when you either set direction or drift unconsciously. Most people immediately repeat yesterday's thinking. Another stressful day, another struggle, nothing changes. And without realizing it, they are programming the entire nervous system to expect heaviness. The body tightens, the emotions follow, and life begins to mirror what the mind already decided. So the third drink is mental discipline, not harsh control, but conscious guidance. Sit quietly and listen to your thoughts as if you were listening to someone else speak. You will soon realize how much of what passes through the mind is repetitive and unhelpful. But this awareness is powerful because once you hear the pattern, you are no longer inside it. You are observing it. And from here, the power of choice awakens. Instead of feeding the same narrative, you can introduce a new one. Not unrealistic affirmations, not pretending everything is perfect, but grounded clarity like, today I will respond with patience. Today I will take one step forward. Today I choose not to be ruled by fear. These are not just words. They are directions for the inner compass. Thoughts are subtle energies. The more you repeat a thought, the stronger its pathway becomes in the brain. Many people unknowingly rehearse suffering. They rehearse anger. They rehearse self-doubt. Then they are surprised when these emotions appear so easily. But when you begin to rehearse presence, calm, and responsibility, these qualities also become natural and accessible. This is the unseen training of the mind. With discipline comes freedom. Because discipline breaks the illusion that you are helpless, you realize you can reshape the stories you tell yourself. And as the inner story changes, the outer experience slowly reorganizes around it. Relationships shift, opportunities appear, reactions soften. What once felt like an external curse is revealed as an internal habit that has finally lost its power. So each morning, before read the world claims your attention, guide your thoughts gently but firmly. Ask yourself what kind of mind you want to live with today. Water that seed, protect it, return to it when distractions pull you away. Over time, the mind becomes a clear and steady companion instead of a restless master. There is a quiet truth many people overlook. The heaviest burdens we carry are rarely physical. They are emotional. Unspoken disappointments, unresolved conflicts, jealousy we never admit, anger we continue to justify, guilt we keep alive in our memory. These emotions do not simply disappear with time. If they are not released, they sink deeper. They sit in the body, they echo in the mind, and they slowly shape the way we experience life. This is why someone can feel cursed even when nothing external is happening. The real weight is inside. And so the next step in this cleansing journey is learning the art of letting go. Letting go is not forgetting. It is not pretending something did not hurt. It is the willingness to stop reliving the same wound every day. Many people hold on to pain because they believe it protects them. If I remember how I was hurt, I will not be hurt again. But in protecting themselves from the past, they are closing themselves off from life in the present. The heart becomes guarded, tight, suspicious. There's no free flow of emotion, only cautious resistance. And resistance always creates inner friction. So each morning, take a moment to look honestly at what you are still carrying. Maybe it is anger towards someone who wronged you. Maybe it is disappointment in yourself. Maybe it is resentment toward life itself. Do not push these emotions away. Do not judge them. Simply acknowledge them. By bringing them into awareness, you remove their hidden power. Emotions that remain unseen control you. Emotions that are seen begin to dissolve. Then, very gently, practice forgiveness, not as a dramatic declaration, but as a quiet act of self-liberation. Forgiveness does not say what happened was right. It simply says, I no longer choose to suffer from it. You are loosening the chains that tie you to the past. You are giving yourself space to breathe again. Sometimes this process is gradual. Some days it feels easy, other days it feels impossible. That is natural. Healing is not linear, but every morning you make the choice to soften rather than harden. Something inside you grows lighter. Letting go also means releasing expectations of yourself, of others, of how life should unfold. Expectations often create unnecessary suffering. When reality does not match the story in your mind, conflict appears. But when you learn to meet life as it is, without forcing it to obey your script, you discover a surprising peace. The heart becomes open. Again, emotions can move freely through you instead of getting trapped inside. And when emotions are free to move, they cannot accumulate into heaviness. They come, they are felt, and then they pass, just like clouds drifting across the sky. So this emotional cleansing is not about fighting with yourself. It is about softening. It is about relaxing into honesty. It is about choosing freedom over bitterness, presence over memory, peace over pride. And when you commit to this inner release, you discover that the so-called curses were only unexpressed emotions asking to be acknowledged. There is another layer to inner cleansing that many people overlook. Even when the body is relaxed, the breath is calm, and the emotions begin to soften, there can still be a quiet unrest within. This unrest comes from knowing deep inside that the way we are living does not fully match the values of our heart. When our words say one thing, our actions do another, and our inner truth stands somewhere else entirely, the mind cannot settle. This misalignment becomes a constant inner friction, and that friction over time begins to feel like a curse. But it is not an outside force. It is simply the soul's way of asking us to live honestly. So the next drink is integrity. Each morning before the tasks and responsibilities of the day begin, take a moment to reflect. Am I living in a way that honors what I truly believe? Do my actions support the person I say I want to become? This is not about perfection, it is about sincerity. When your inner world and outer behavior move in the same direction, you experience a deep sense of peace. There is no need to remember what role you are playing. There is no need to wear different masks for different situations. You simply live as you are. But when we compromise our values again and again, we slowly erode our self-respect. And once self-respect weakens, the mind becomes unstable. Doubt appears. Shame appears. We begin to feel undeserving of peace, and so we sabotage it. This is why alignment is so important. It builds an inner foundation strong enough to hold you steady even when life becomes challenging. Integrity also means taking responsibility, not blaming circumstances, not blaming fate, not blaming unseen forces, simply recognizing that every choice creates a direction. And if the direction does not reflect our deepest truth, we can adjust. This is empowering because it returns the steering wheel of life back into your hands. You no longer feel like a victim of mysterious energies. You become an active participant in your own path. So ask yourself gently, do I speak kindly when I value kindness? Do I live with discipline when I say discipline matters? Do I seek truth when I claim to care for wisdom? These questions, were not meant to judge you. They are meant to guide you. Because when your thoughts, your words, and your actions stand together like three aligned pillars, inner conflict cannot survive. There is simply too much harmony. And harmony itself is purification. You begin to feel lighter, not because anything has left you, but because you are no longer divided against yourself. You walk, speak, and act from the same center. Decisions become clearer. Relationships become simpler. The mind becomes quieter. What once felt like curses dissolves into clarity. So every morning, recommit to alignment, even in small ways, even in quiet choices no one else will ever see. Over time, these small acts shape the entire direction of your life, and you will realize that inner peace is not mysterious at all. It is the natural result of living in truth. Integrity is the bridge between who you are and who you are meant to become. In the end, all of these practices lead to something very simple, and simplicity is often what human beings resist the most. We fill our lives with noise, distraction, drama, comparison, and endless activity, believing that the more we accumulate, the more alive we become. The truth is the opposite. The more cluttered the outer world becomes, the more restless the inner world grows. And when the inner world is restless, even the smallest challenge feels overwhelming. This is why the final drink is presence, the willingness to return to a simple, uncluttered state of being. Each morning, before the world demands your attention, sit in silence. No phone, no rush. Thoughts about the day. Just sit, breathe, and be. At first, this may feel uncomfortable because many people are not used to being alone with themselves. The mind immediately wants to move, to plan, to worry, to analyze. But if you stay, if you simply allow the silence to surround you, something begins to shift. The mind slowly realizes it does not need to constantly perform. It learns to rest. Simplicity means appreciating what is already here. The warmth of sunlight through the window, the quiet rhythm of your breath, the feeling of the ground supporting you. These things sound small, but they reconnect you to life in its purest form. And when you reconnect in this way, you begin to see that much of what you once called misfortune or curse was simply the result of being too distracted. To notice the beauty and stability already present. Presence also means doing fewer things with more attention. When you drink water, just drink. When you walk, just walk. When you speak, be fully with the words you choose. This steady focus gathers your energy back into the moment instead of scattering it across past regrets and future worries. A scattered mind feels weak and vulnerable. A present mind feels grounded. And in this groundedness, fear loses its grip. Anxiety softens. Doubt becomes quieter because presence anchors you in reality, not imagination. You begin to understand that life is not happening somewhere else. It is happening here, in each breath, in each step. When you honor the present moment, you no longer chase what you lack, nor do you cling desperately to what you have. You simply partake. I paid fully in what is. This is the highest form of cleansing, not fighting with your mind, not battling your emotions, but gently returning again and again to the simplicity of being aware. Over time, the unnecessary falls away on its own. Habits dissolve, inner storms calm. What remains is clarity, steadiness, and quiet joy. So the final morning is a reminder that you do not need to complicate your path. You do not need secret rituals or hidden knowledge. You need presence. You need sincerity. You need the courage to live simply and consciously. And when you do, you will realize that nothing ever needed to leave your body. You only needed to come home to yourself.